the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads.
Woo! It's here. It's finally here. The Red River Shootout is finally here. Not rivalry, shootout. That's what we're going to start calling it again, just to piss off all those politically correct jackasses out there. But before we get to all that, I'd like to do my random topic of the day, as I do periodically. And we're going to touch on the whole NFL Taylor Swift fiasco that's been going on. Black and White Sports touched on it earlier today and got me somewhat of an epiphany. And I'm just like, it's okay, NFL. It's okay. It's your God-given right, as it is anybody's right, to push the agendas that they want to push, because this is a free country, as long as you don't try to censor other people that disagree with you. And if you're going to push a different agenda, one to try to broaden your audience, as they'll say that's why they're doing it, although I think that's debatable too, that's fine if you're trying to broaden your audience. But you don't broaden your audience with an audience that doesn't really watch your product by sacrificing the audience, your base audience that got you there. If you're going to do that, if you're going to try to broaden your audience, at least have your base audience on board. Now, if you want to sacrifice your base audience and just go with a totally different audience and lose billions of dollars like Bud Light did, then by all means, once again, that is your God-given right and your right as a free entrepreneur company in this great nation. It's your right to do that. But just know that, and don't think that you can insult your base audience by telling them how stupid they are for not supporting your minority agendas that you're trying to push that they don't adhere to. It's their God-given right not to adhere to transgender agendas or Taylor Swift agendas or whatever it is that you're trying to push on. Just know that going in. And if you can deal with that, we can deal with that. Now, as I said, today's topic is going to be the Red River Shootout. So let's get to it. Let's talk about it. Final countdown. It's here. That's right. Like that old Europe song from the 1980s. That's our song of the day. The final countdown applies because it's the final countdown to the Red River Shootout that's now upon us. But before we get to all that, here they come riding in once again. It's the Outlaw Posse. Now, in effect, in today's Outlaw Posse, 4 horsemen shout-outs go to Nellie Martin, The Gov, Hey You, and Preston Green are mounted up in their saddle up, and they're ready to go with this college football invasion. We also had a few donations. Rhino 26, Heath Stokes, and Eric Blomquist with some nice donations to the program. We also have the new posse members that are getting deputized today. They are MR, Fred Bagley, and Killback First has re-upped as well, and Darth Inskness. They're mounted up and they're saddled up and they got their badges. They've been deputized. If you want to get deputized and get your badge and get your random 4 horseman shout out, as well as possibly be the comment of the day, all you got to do is hit that join button next to the subscribe button. It's not $2.99 a month. That's only 75 cents a week. So that's just a bottle of water for the Outlaw Posse. And you'll be deputized. Now, I can also be reached on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. This is more than I could have asked for. Both these teams are undefeated. One, albeit at the sacrifice of my team, Alabama. Texas beat Alabama, and now both teams are undefeated. Now, if you'll remember, Oklahoma was supposed to be playing Georgia this year before this Red River Shootout, if I'm not mistaken. So that would have been really epic. Had Oklahoma and Texas both beat the bell cows of the SEC, Alabama and Georgia, going into this, we could say this might be a prelude to these two teams playing for the SEC title in the future. But we'll never know because they had to cancel that game. It was neither university's fault. I know both of them like to take barbs at each other about backing out. But it was actually the SEC office that made both of those teams cancel that game. But getting right to it here, got some stats for y'all. Let's check this out. Let's check out the Texas Longhorns first. I'm going to pull it up for you guys and gals out there. There we go. Y'all can see that. It says here that the Texas Longhorns, I can get all these ads off of here. The Texas Longhorns had 325 yards passing, 336 yards rushing. Pretty even keel there. Pretty well spread out. 661 yards of total offense. Quinn Ewers was 25 of 35 for 325 yards and a touchdown with 1 interception. The leading rusher in this game was Brooks with 20 attempts on 217 yards. Very, very, very nice. Receiving, leading receiver was Mitchell. Had 13 targets, 10 receptions, 141 yards, a touchdown with a long of 22-yard reception. So as you can see, Texas's offense was pretty on course in this game. The game was pretty close up until halftime. It was 13-7, and then Texas pulled away late. Now, let's bring up Oklahoma's stats. See how they compared. I'm going to tell you it's not going to be as good as the Texas game, but y'all were actually probably, most likely, playing a better defense. I hope y'all can see that as well. If y'all can't, I'll just read it out to you. Oklahoma had 366 yards passing, 157 yards rushing, total of 523 total yards of offense. Dylan Gabriel was 26 of 39, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Leading rusher was Majors with 19 attempts for 66 yards with a long run of 18. Receiving was Farouk, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 81 yards with a long of 49. So while they was not as good offensively, but there was one stat that I did not pull up. I didn't scroll down and pull up the defensive stats on either one of these teams. But there was something that really stuck out to me that may have an impact on this game. I mean, you really can't just go by offensive stats alone. If that was the case, then many games would already be decided before they were played. But I noticed that Texas really didn't get much pressure on the Kansas quarterback. Although they did hold them to 14 points, they had no sacks against Kansas from what I can see. And I think that could have a very big impact on the game, and it's something that nobody's really talking about. If Texas is unable to get to Dylan Gabriel and he's able to sit back in their pocket and pick them apart, we may see a very high-scoring game amongst both of these teams. Although I do think that Oklahoma's defense may be a shade better than Texas's defense, in my opinion. Also, Oklahoma in this game, these past 2 games, probably played against the better defense. Now, Iowa State's record is not as good as Kansas, but I would venture to say, in my opinion, that Iowa State's defense is better than Kansas's defense. But that's just my opinion. Now, Oklahoma's defense is as advertised so far, and we can't really gauge it, to be honest with you, because they haven't really played an astronomically great offense yet. Then Texas could be in a lot of trouble if they don't get to Gabriel, as I mentioned before. I think that is key for Texas in this game, is to at least sack Gabriel once or twice in this game. If they can get to Gabriel a little bit and get in his head a little bit, Texas could, continue on with their undefeated season and finally be back. As a lot of people try to tease them about them being back, they may finally be back. But if Oklahoma's defense is as advertised and they don't get to Gabriel as much as they need to, this may not just be an upset. Oklahoma may win this thing by a couple of scores. And in the end, if I had to give a score on it, I think Oklahoma's defense may not be able to stop Texas's offense like they have the other offenses, but I think they'll do just enough to allow Oklahoma to pull away in the end of this. And instead of Texas being back, it might be Oklahoma that's back. I'd say maybe Oklahoma 38 and Texas 27. That's all I got to say about that. If you guys and gals don't mind, there's a little heart option down here with a little money dollar sign in the middle. You can hit that, throw a few dollars in the coffers. Also, if you want to support the program, you can join the Outlaw Posse. Like I said earlier, it's not but $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. It's just a bottle of water. You get your badge, you'll be deputized. You'll also possibly get your 4 horsemen shout out each and every show, as well as possibly be the comment of the day. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. The big 4, they're always important, and they're free. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.